being colorless is actually really relevant against Death and Taxes, which has been popping up more and more with some of the new conspiracy cards, and being devoid for Mother of Runes, actually very, very powerful. So, yeah, these are Miracles decks, one of the best decks in the format, very popular. Always be ready to play against Miracles in your tournaments. And yeah, so I think we're going to move on to the Storm deck list, the final top 4. You're our resident Storm expert. So what do you think about this list?
Yeah, well, Zach Kramer's Ant list is pretty stock. The unique thing is he has 2 main deck Chromox. It's not commonly seen in Ant. It's basically try and get the deck to go faster. You'll see it more out of TES or Doomsday than you would out of Ant. It lets you go faster, lets you deploy, your discard spells, and then go off all relatively safe.
Yeah. I imagine it makes your ad nauseums better too. Just have more zero mana.
Safer going off with it.
Yeah,
saves a little bit of life.
Yeah, saves the life, and then also if you've already played your land, it's a way to get your Dark Ritual train started again.
Yeah. Another thing is he has a drop in the main and then a Bayou in the board. That's generally because you'll value blue mana more in your game 1, casting your Brainstorms, your Preordains, your Ponders, trying to find your win conditions as fast as possible, go off as fast as possible. Game 2, generally you'll board into the black source so that you're more open with your Duresses, your Cabal therapies, because you need to hit their threats and their
so you're trying
bullets.
to spend your first, correct me if I'm wrong, you're spending your early turns disrupting them with discard effects and trying to play Xanted Swarm, stuff like that.
Post board,
some of the blue decks, so post board you want more black and green sources.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially he's got Crossing Grips and Xanted Swarms, 4 Xanted Swarms actually.
Wow.
It's quite a few, but I mean the card just is so good in the matchups where you have to fight through Force of Wills, Fluster Storms, Mindbreak Trap, which you don't see as much, but
so I've played a lot of Delver in Legacy. It's basically all that I play, and it's always really awkward against Storm because I want to keep Lightning Bolt. I obviously don't want Lightning Bolt in my deck, but needing to kill Xanted Swarm is also very important. So it's a nice little cat and mouse of you should keep some Lightning Bolts in your deck, but then maybe I duress you, take your 1 counter spell, you have a Lightning Bolt, and I didn't draw the Xanted Swarm, and now you're dead.
Yep.
Storm is something. It's always terrifying to play against. But yeah, it's a interesting take on Storm. Seems like relatively stock, but like you mentioned, the Chromoxes, the Preordains, little different than some of the other lists we've seen. So moving on to a couple other events, we had a 4-color Delver deck piloted by Chris Capicia, I believe it is. Went 4-0 at a bronze event. And this list is very interesting. So it's favoring playing main deck Abrupt Decays instead of, unlike some of the Grixis, Pyromancer, or 4 Gurmag Angler strategies. Since the Grixis decks will generally play a little green for Deathrite Shaman, but no actual green spells. But he's chosen to play 3 Abrupt Decays. Just seems good against Chalice of the Void, Counterbalance, some of the Death and Taxes cards, getting to interact with that a little bit more. But yeah, what do you think of his creature breakdown, spell breakdown here?
It's interesting. The build seems like it's trying to go a bit more into the mid-range. With some of the larger threats like your True Name Nemesis and your Gurmag Anglers. Snapcaster Mage as well.
Snapcaster Mage is basically a 3-drop in this deck, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And you're just looking to protect your creatures, clear the way, and just keep hitting them, get into the mid-game, maybe just end the game with Snapcaster Bolt, Snap Abrupt Decay, swing in.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people he got with forcing his opponents to overvalue his Delver of Secrets, because mathematically the Delvers are a little bit worse in this deck. He only has 26 spells with 20 lands, 15 creatures. So his Delvers are going to flip a little less often, but I wonder how many times he's played out a Delver, gotten it killed immediately with a Swords to Plowshares or something before the opponent gets beaten up by Gurmag Angler or True Name Nemesis, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Delvers are definitely a little less good, but the mid-game power of Snapcaster Mage Counterspell, Snapcaster Mage Ponder, things like that.
Deathrite Shaman, just draining him every single turn.
It definitely has some more ways to mitigate mana flood, which some of the Jeskai, Rug, and Grixis Delver decks struggle with a little bit.
It's 20 lands, pretty stock for Delver.
It's a bit high. I play 18 in Grixis. I've played generally 18 in Rug as well. But with more 3 drops in your deck, and he's not playing any Thought Scours to turbo out the Gurmag Anglers, so you just want to play fetch lands probably the first 3 turns of the
Just
game.
naturally get there.
And the sideboard has some good technology too. The Arc Trail I really like. It's a way to if there are decks with a lot of 1 toughness creatures that also could play Chalice of the Void, it is better than Forked Bolt in those scenarios. Then also getting to kill, say, Deathrite Shaman plus Korean Ranger or something against Elves, getting to kill a 2 toughness creature, which Forked Bolt can't do. Also, the Diabolic Edict, I have sometimes really wanted one in my Grixis sideboards as a way to deal with a Reanimator card or a Merit Lodge or anything like that your Lightning Bolts or Dismember cards like that aren't going to interact with nearly as much.
Yeah, definitely. That True Name Nemesis. That
Yep.
card's seeing a resurgence now, apparently.
Yeah. Speaking of True Name Nemesis, also playing 1 Marsh Casualties in his sideboard is a very clean answer to it. The double black I think can be a little awkward, but having 3 Underground Seas makes it less likely that he'll be completely wasted off of black mana before he can get the casualties down. Also, the Culligan's Command, I'm a huge fan of that card. Seems that he's replaced the Painful Truth slot of grindy card advantage for it's fewer cards overall than the Painful Truths will net you, but the flexibility of destroying, say, an Aether Vial and a Stoneforge Mystic with 1 spell,
Yeah.
also very powerful.
Kill their Stoneforge Mystic, get back your Snapcaster Mage.
Boom. Powerful. And then the rest of the board is relatively stock for some of the Snapcaster Mage Delver strategies. 2 Flusterstorms, 3 Surgicals. The 1 Umezawa's Jite is also very good with the True Name Nemesis. It's a little awkward to not have a Stoneforge Mystic or something to find it, but True Name plus Jite is just game against so many decks.
Yeah.
They can't block it, all their creatures die, and the game might not feel over immediately, but I've been on the other side of that, and you really can't win.
Yeah. If, land against Elves, the Delver Mirror, even Death and Taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful. Yeah, Delver's great. I love Delver. It hasn't been putting up quite as many results recently, but always a lot of fun. I always have to decide if you're choosing to play around Stifle or Daze or Wasteland or any of those. There's a lot of decisions. The games don't last very long, but the decisions are always
very tough mentally.
Yeah, very tough decision trees in these decks. So, how about you tell us about the last deck we're going to be looking at here?
Sure. Our last one is William Ken's. He took first place in a bronze event, and it is a Death and Taxes list. It's what we can call the new standard Death and Taxes build, I guess you could say. It's got your regular 4 Thalia, 4 Stoneforge Mystic, and then usually 4 Mother Ruins. He's got 3. He's got 4 Flicker Wisps, and then a bunch of 2-ofs, very powerful cards. The new ones are Recruiter the Guard. Everyone saw coming in this deck.
Oh, yeah.
Gets so many cards.
Gets all of your creatures.
Yeah, and then
Minus Sarah Venture, but still.
Yeah, that's fine. And then Sanctum Prelate, which is another big card for this deck.
Yes.
Very versatile and powerful against decks. Sure's up there. Miracles matchup.
Anything trying to kill your creatures.
Yeah.
Say
Anything
against Miracles,
non-creature
put it
spells
on,
wise, yeah.
Put it on 1, put it on 6. They can't kill your board. And just go to town with your 3-mana 2/2s. Also, inclusion I really like in this deck is the 1 Palace Jailer. It's another new card from Conspiracy. It's a 4-mana Fiend Hunter style card that will exile their creature, but rather than the creature returning when the Jailer's gone, when it comes to play, you become the Monarch, so you get to draw an extra card until you get hit, and then your opponent gets to draw extra cards. But the creature remains exiled until you are no longer the Monarch. So I've been playing this online a little bit, and against, say, a Reanimator deck, you hit their 1 creature, they don't get to hit you, steal the Monarch back, get their creature back, and you just have 4 mana, kill your creature, draw a card, attack you a bunch.
Card advantage in a mono white deck.
Yeah. Get to find it with your recruiters. Incredibly powerful card.
Yeah.
And then is the standard non-creature spell slot with 4 Aether Vial, 4 Swords to Plowshares, and the pretty standard spread of equipment with 1 Batterskull, 1 Sword of Fire and Ice, and 1 Jite, in addition to a Sword of War and Peace and 1 Menriki Gusari in the sideboard, presumably for the other white Stoneforge deck mirrors.
Yep.
Very powerful in all of those. The mana base is pretty much what we've come to expect. The 3 Karakas for disruption against cards like Grizzlebrand against you, and also protecting your Thalias. Very powerful. 1 Cavern of Souls. stops or ensures that your creatures can resolve through a counterbalance top, while also being a good card casting your spells.
Through Chalice.
Yes, through Chalice as well, very powerful. And then 1 Flagstones of Trocaire to go with the Cataclysm in the sideboard to make sure you get your 2 lands after resolving your Cataclysm. But otherwise, the sideboard seems, again, fairly stock, like we've been saying, is 2 extra removal spells in Path to Exile for when you want those, some Graveyard Disruption in Fairy Macabre and Rest in Peace. I think the 0 mana Graveyard Disruption has been picking up quite a bit. Remember the Death and Taxes list from the Grand Prix in Japan had Surgical Extractions, just as a way to combat the Black Red Reanimator decks that have been picking up quite a bit.
Macabre has the advantage where they can play it through a Chancellor when they're on the draw and they turn 1, go for it.
Yep. Sometimes you just choose to not lose to the turn 1 Reanimate with Chancellor backup.
Yeah, I lose to that way too much.
And then the Gideons we've been seeing pop up in several decks. Gideon Ally of Zendikar, the Legacy All-Star.
Yeah.
It seems.
Skipped over Modern, went right to Legacy.
Yeah, powerful
Fine
card.
with that.
So those are the decks that we've accumulated over the week. Some really interesting stuff going on. This Landstill deck still I love it. It's
insane.
Yeah, really sweet. So moving on, and we mentioned this at the top of the show. Just gonna remind all of you, we have 3 gold level events this weekend. Now, remember, the gold level prizes are first place includes 100 EE points and a winner's trophy. That the 100 gets you all the way to level 2, where you get a buy and free entry for one of the main events. Second place, 50 points, also a buy, very good. Third and fourth is 25, fifth through eighth is 10 points. Even if you're not winning the tournaments, chaining a couple top 8, top 4 can get you your buys real quick. So just a reminder that these events are 2 on Saturday, the 17th. I have Legacy at Scholars Games in Bridgewater, Massachusetts, and Vintage at Top Deck Games in Haddon Township, New Jersey. And then Sunday is a 15 proxy Vintage tournament at the Bearded Dragon in Bernardsville, New Jersey. And I believe that's all we have. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's about all.
Yeah. Very excited to play in some of these satellite events, get some points, get some buys, play some Delvers, play some Wastelands.
Yeah, get out there and play some Legacy.
Yeah.
You don't get to do it too often anymore.
It's a great format, and there's a lot of Legacy tournaments in your area, all over the country, all over the world. Hopefully, presumably, very soon.
Yeah, we're gonna bring it back.
Yeah, exciting times. So thank you for joining us again. This was The Week That Was, brought to you by Tales of Adventure. I'm your host Peter Tubergen for Zach Zarenko.